Thank you for coming to my channel. Today I'm going to make Chinese pork strips. I'm going to go to a Chinese restaurant and get pork, pork loin, and it's got a red sauce on it. It's very, very tender. Well, that's what we're going to make. And the first thing we have to start with is the sauce. It's not a marinade, it's a sauce. And you put it on top of the pork while it's roasting. So the first thing that we call for is a half a cup of honey. So we'll get this half a cup of honey in here. And this has a spectacular flavor. There's nothing like it. It's its own animal. Delicious. Okay, so we got the half a cup of honey. We now need to add 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And we need to add a half a cup of hoisin sauce, which you can get in your market at the Chinese aisle. It's basically got some coriander, soy sauce, and garlic in it. And the next thing to add is some spices. And in this container here, I have a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of red cayenne pepper, a half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, and a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay. The next item is 2 teaspoons of red food coloring. Gives it that nice red color on the outside. And that's a lot of food coloring, but I don't think I'm going to have quite enough in this container. We'll see. There we go. We'll just finish this little container off because it was so little. There we go. All right. Then the next item is 4 teaspoons of vegetable oil. So I get my 4 teaspoons of vegetable oil in there. The next item is 1/4 cup of dried sherry, but I use this Shaoxing cooking wine and most of my Chinese, and I got it at the Chinese market, and it's good flavor. You could use almost any cooking wine if you wanted to. You don't have to have this, but I happen to have it, so I'm using it. And then we move on. We also put in 1/4 cup of tomato paste. There we go, it's 1/4 cup of tomato paste. And we're going to mix this up. We're going to cook this on the stove, but we're not necessarily going to bring it to a boil. We're just going to bring it to a little simmer and just cook it to blend all the ingredients. You don't have to boil it. And what's going to thicken it up is our last 2 ingredients, which is 2 tablespoons of cornstarch into 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And as you know, when you make this thickening agent, you mix it up until the cornstarch is all blended in here, because you don't want any lumps. It's hard to chase the lumps out once it's cooking, but you get this all mixed up ahead of time. No white lumps, you'll be okay. Even if you have a few, you can cook them out. You can chase them with your spatula while you're mixing. But I like to get it done when it's cold. It just seems to mix better cold than warm. All right, there we go. So there's everything, all the ingredients. We're going to just put it on the stove, bring it up to a simmer for 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll be done and ready to put on the pork. And then I'll show you how to put it on the pork. Over to the stove I go. We're at the cooktop, and I've got my element. This happens to be an induction cooktop, which is a really nice way to go. You get more control of your heat. You have to use a metal pan. It says magnetic waves up to the pan and heats the pan with magnetic waves instead of the elements or radiant heat. And I got it on, yeah, about medium high. And already it's getting very liquidy and the honey's softening and all the ingredients are mixing. So while this is coming up to speed, I could probably show you how to prepare the roast. So I'll put this back on a back burner so I can show you what's going on with the roast. And you know, this one thing about this cooktop is, look how cool that is already. The minute you take the pan off, the heat stops. You don't have to change the controls. So that's nice and cool. So I'll put this where you can see it. And of course, this is a nice loin pork roast. Got a nice piece of fat on the top. I always like having that. Helps keep it tender while it's cooking. Okay, take a nice sharp knife and just want to score the fat. That's all. You don't want to go too deep into the meat. Just want to score the fat so it helps it melt and also lets some of the sauce get into it. If you go too deep, don't worry about it. It's just getting into the meat anyway. Give it another score there. And then just because I like to have something pretty, a nice color, I'm going to go cross hatch like this. There you go. See, you can see that opening up. We'll get the sauce right into it. That's good. A little bit deeper there. A little bit deeper right here. There we go. That's good. Alrighty. So let's put this off to the side. Get the sauce back over here on the element again. I had it on the back element. It's pretty warm. I want to bring it to a simmer. So I turned it up. While that's coming up, I'm going to get a pan for the roast. And because this is going to be a moist cook and there'll be some fat coming out of it, I'm going to make little corners on this foil so it'll hold all the liquid in to make sure that cleanup is easier. There we go. Got 4 corners. Yeah, put the roast right in there. All right, this is almost ready. I'm going to preheat my oven, and we're going to cook this at 300 degrees for about 15 minutes per pound. Because this is a real thin one, it won't take too long to cook. I have a thermometer. I'll stick it with the thermometer to make sure I don't overcook it. 150 degrees, pull it right out. You can eat it at 140 degrees, nothing wrong with that. But I like to go to 150, pull it out, and let it rest. There you go, a few little bubbles off the bottom. That's done. I don't want it to boil, I just wanted to get it hot. All right, now I'm going to take it off the heat And I'm going to let it cool while the oven's heating for about 10 to 15 minutes. 10 minutes it takes for my oven to preheat. And once this cools, I'm going to save it in the refrigerator in a jar for up to a month. And I use it mostly on pork. It's fabulous on chicken wings. You taste it, you'll decide, but I just love this sauce. There it is. Look at that consistency. That is just right to go on and stick to your meat. And as it cools, it'll thicken a little more, which is perfect. That's why we didn't want to bring it to a boil, because it has so much sugar in it, like candy, it would get hard. And we want to keep it soft. That's beautiful. All right, so my oven is preheated to 300 degrees. My sauce has cooled. So let's put this meat on my tray. And we'll get some of this sauce. Look how thick that is now, right on there. I like to work it into all the cross hatching, because when it comes out of the oven it looks really good, all the glaze all being cooked. I called it a sauce. I guess because it's got so much sugar in it, you should really call it a glaze. Okay, so that's on that side. I got on all the edges. I got on the end cuts, the top and the bottom. Rubbed in everywhere I could get it in. I'm going to turn it over again, but I want this fat on top. And I'm going to put a little more right on here. As it goes into the oven, I'll have a nice layer of it on top. There we go. Okay, so you're going to use your oven thermometer. You want to cook this to 150 and take it out. Then while it rests, it'll bump up to 155, maybe 160. But like I said, you can eat pork at 140. It's delicious and tender. You just don't want to overcook it. Alrighty, so I'm going to put this in the oven now. And when it comes out, I will take a picture of it for you. And in the oven, I put it in the upper half of the oven so that the top of it can get a little bit of a crust on it because it's hotter, and the glaze will get nice and thick. While it's still warm, I have a mason jar, and I'm going to put this in the mason jar so that I can save it in the refrigerator. There we go. I mean, this is just so flavorful. Wait till you try it. I don't know if you do any canning or not, but I have other videos I have done which show you how to make jelly. And I also make relish. And I can tomatoes all in the fall, and so you use these mason jars, and I do the hot water bath method, and so you have the lids. When you open it up, you throw the lids away, and you get a cover. Sometimes these come off mayonnaise jars, peanut butter jars, or you can actually buy them, like at Walmart. But these covers just fit right on there. So you don't have to reuse the lids and the bands, and you get a nice cover for your sauce. Good. So the pork roast has come out of the oven, and remember I told you to cook it to 150 degrees? I cook this one to 140 because I like mine a little bit undercooked. And I'll just slice it for you. And you slice very thin slices. Just like you're at a Chinese restaurant. You can see how it wasn't a marinade because it's not into the meat. See how it's fully cooked, 140 degrees? That's how I like mine. But go by the book. The book says 150 to 160. I don't know, some people just would think I'm crazy eating it this way. So there it is. And let's just take a piece. Yum. Okay, well, I appreciate you watching. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. It helps me and also allows you to see my varied content.